just gone 11:15. It is BBC Wiltshire. This is Graham Rogers with you. Organisations in the county, including the police and the council, are working together to crack down on cases of domestic violence, as we've been talking about. Now, Home Office statistics report that domestic violence accounts for 15% of all violent incidents. In the year 2010 to 2011, 21 men and 93 women were killed by a partner, ex-partner or lover. Wiltshire Police, as we've heard, have been a part of a trial of Clare's Law for the past 6 months, which allows women to find out whether or not their partners have a violent past. And one of the organisations working closely with the police is Victim Support. And delighted to say, joining me in the studio now is Jennifer Chironi, Senior Independent Domestic Violence Advisor. That's quite some title, isn't it? Goodness. With Victim Support in Devizes. Welcome to the programme.
Good morning, Graham. Delighted to be here today.
It's nice to see you. How much of your time as somebody employed by Victim Support is taken up with cases of domestic violence?
Well, you've alluded to my job title, which is Independent Domestic Violence Advisor. So my role is to work full-time, assisting those to be at the highest risk of serious harm. As an organisation, Victim Support supports many different victims of crime, and you spoke about the figure previously. About 15% of recorded crime is domestic violence and abuse, and that would again reflect the percentage of our time which is spent dealing with victims of this very difficult and sensitive problem.
Now, obviously, you work very closely with the police, but within the past 6 months, how much involvement have you had with this trial of Clare's Law?
We've been very, very much involved in this. I think one of the strengths that we have in Wiltshire, we have extremely good and sophisticated multi-agency working. We work very closely together. Domestic abuse is a very complex and difficult problem, and not one agency has all of the answers to such a question. Nor does it have the resources to deal with it. It's only by working together that we're really able to provide a really effective solution to this very difficult problem. So agencies such as Victim Support and the IDVA service do work very closely with the police. Our role really is to assist with that assessment of risk, to identify what those risks are and how best we can manage those risks in order to keep that person and their children safe.
One of the things that I learnt, one of the many things that I've learnt this hour talking to you all, was the third party inquiry. So if there is a mother listening or a father or a best friend listening that is concerned that their son, daughter, best friend is in a domestic abuse situation, they can also ask to exercise Clare's Law. How many people do you think know about that? Because I didn't know about that.
No, and I think that's a very good outcome of us being here today. Yes, and certainly this third-party route also applies to other professionals as well who are coming into contact with potential victims of domestic abuse. So
professionals such as people like doctors or teachers, I suppose.
Indeed. Workers in the healthcare sector, for example, midwives, health visitors. Those are our eyes and our ears on the ground, and they're very... a lot of professionals will tell you of their previous frustrations. They've worked with and they've known about people who are a problem towards their partners, and it's one of the frustrations that as a professional, if you see that perpetrator of domestic abuse turning up with a new partner, how do we deal with that information? The third party reporting route actually gives us that opportunity for a professional to actually voice those concerns and for that application process to commence.
Can you give me an example of this sort of in practice, if you like?
Well, an example perhaps could be a midwife. They perhaps dealt with a pregnancy. We do know, unfortunately, that a lot of domestic abuse can actually start or escalate during pregnancy. So midwives are very, very important colleagues in helping us to address this problem.
Why would that be, just out of interest?
There are lots and lots of theories about it. One of my favoured theories is that people who are abusive to their partners, what they want is absolute control and domination over every aspect of that victim's life. We heard from the very powerful and eloquent account of Lucy earlier. Yes. We heard about having to have the dinner on the table at 4 minutes past 6 in the evening, and how she feared the consequences of not having the dinner on the table at that time. That is the level to which people who are abusive towards their partners will go to. Now, in pregnancy, that dynamic shifts. That pregnant woman has now a different focus of attention. That focus away from the perpetrator, servicing their needs, trying to pacify how they feel and they behave, that focus has now shifted. Also, pregnancy offers an opportunity for more people to be intrusive and to actually be involved and be in contact with the victim, and that changes the power dynamic with a perpetrator. So that's one of the theories that I have about why domestic abuse can escalate and start within pregnancy.
Okay, direct question here. As working with victim support, have you noticed a difference since the introduction of the trial of Clare's Law?
Yes. One of the unfortunate consequences being a victim of domestic abuse is that you become very isolated and very disempowered. This is a really useful tool in our toolkit, which is offers us a multiple variety of options to actually empower people to actually make decisions for themselves. And I think that's a very powerful thing. By giving people information about risk, that gives them the opportunity to make informed decisions which they can use to inform about their own risk and that of their children.
Do you think it should be made permanent? Do you think Clare's Law should be rolled out across the whole country?
It's very difficult to quantify success for the reasons that my colleague PC Clark has already spoken about this morning. However, I do think that prevention is always very hard to measure. But I think that it's a good tool in our toolkit, and I would welcome its permanent introduction across the nation.
Angus Macpherson, the Crime Commissioner, Police and Crime Commissioner, we heard from on the programme earlier, and the point that he was making is he doesn't believe enough women and enough people in general know about Clare's Law, how it works and how it can help them. Would you agree with that statement?
I'm glad that you said other people as well, because we also need to remember that men can be victims of domestic abuse.
Absolutely.
Either in a heterosexual or a same-sex relationship as well. And I would encourage anyone who perhaps feels that they are at risk to take the steps which have been outlined this morning. Certainly, we very much welcome any opportunity to talk to people about the benefits of this tool that we have, and very much welcome the opportunity to speak to the people of Wiltshire here today.
Men as well, then?
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody. So what needs to be done to make more people aware of it?
Well, I hope that being here today is one of the ways in which we can actually reach out and actually speak to people who might be affected and people who may well benefit from such a scheme. We'll also be rolling out some additional training to professional colleagues as well in the very near future as well. Okay.
We heard from Pete earlier on how to get in contact with the police if you're concerned. What about if somebody doesn't want to get into contact with the police for whatever reason? Can they contact victim support?
Yes, of course they can. And one of our central values is that in order to use our services, you don't have to have reported a crime to the police. You can contact our regional victim care unit at victim support on 0845 45 66 099. And that support line is open from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 p.m. in the evening, and it's also open at weekends. I would urge anybody who is thinking about reaching out and wanting to engage in support to make that call today.
Okay, you're confident enough people know about this then?
This is the start of informing people.
It's not a yes or no answer, is it? Are you confident enough people know about Clare's Law?
No, and that's why we're here today, Graham.
Right, okay. What else do we need to do then? What are you going to do to hammer this home and make sure people know?
Within Wiltshire, we've got very, very good partnership working, and we'll use our partners to actually help us to deliver this message. Quite frankly, domestic abuse is unacceptable, and we need to be employing all of the tools that we can to actually address this very complex and difficult social problem.
Well, I'm sure that you've raised awareness amongst a lot of people today. Thank you both for being with me. It's good to see you. Carry on your good work. Jennifer Cheroni from Victim Support. And let me give you that number again. It's open daily from 8 a.m, 7 days a week?
During Monday to Friday.
Monday to Friday. Okay, Monday to Friday, 8 in the morning till 8 at night. 0845 4566 099. 0845 4566 099. Thank you again very much indeed for being with us.